Yeah, and the thing is, Tracy, it would be so unfashionable being in Eric Jose's studio to actually go on time. It would just
Absolutely.
you just couldn't do that. So hi Becca and hi Tracy. Nice to see you here. Yep, yeah, we are live. That's good. Yep, and just make sure everything's working fine on my side of it. Yeah, we're definitely going. Yeah. Here we go. Sorry, so Tracy, hi, thank you for joining me this evening, your time. What's it like over there in summertime in Australia, isn't it?
It is indeed. Hi, Paul. It's just after 7 p.m.
Yeah.
It's a bit chilly for a Melbourne summer, but we do tend to get 4 seasons in one day down here, so it's not really a surprise.
Good stuff. Yeah, I know. I've been following the cricket, so I've been seeing that as I say, it is the summertime over there for the Aussies, and yeah, it's nice to have you back on again. I think the last time we had a chat would have been around about Mamathon of back in, or was no? I think I've had a chat with you since then, haven't I?
We did have a chat in between.
Was it during the rally, the online rally? I honestly can't remember.
I did something with Mark, the Antipodean contingent.
Yep.
But we did do something after that. I think we discussed, and I absolutely kicked myself for hours afterwards. You asked me a question about Kyler versus Sullivan and Strickland, and I couldn't get the answer out. And it was like, as soon as we finished, I knew the answer, and I was like, "Okay, I'm just stupid. It's fine."
No.
It's those things that stay with you, though.
There's so much to take in this case, isn't there? Like to get down into the depths of what's going on. I mean, I've been reading quite a lot of books on the subject, wading my way through, as I say, Richard Leo's police interrogation, and there's so much information in these things, and looking at different cases. For example, another case I just recently started reading about was the Haley versus Ohio from 1948.
Okay. Yep.
It's the one that set the precedent for giving doing a proper assessment of juveniles. Once you give them an interrogation and take a statement, and so I'm going to have a look at that and see how look at what's going on there. But I must admit, well, actually, sorry, no, Tracy, you said that you wanted to just do a little bit of a talk first. So do you want to go first, ladies first?
Yeah, I think as we're going to go through the interrogation on the 27th, that I think it's important that we, unlike the state appellate court, look at who the child is going into this interrogation.
Mm-hmm.
So, much has been made by Wisconsin, particularly during the oral arguments at the Seventh Circuit, of Brendan taking some regular classes. Mm-hmm. And this annoyed me because it was as if this information in some way reduced the impact of Brendan's challenges, downplayed his limitations. But as we know, Brendan was in regular classes for some of his school day, and this was pursuant to federal law, and not because he was capable of doing regular work. So, as Levine and Miles wrote in their discourse, Brendan at school was at best a passive observer. He functioned intellectually between the ages of 5 and 11. And, typical high school expectations such as taking notes, studying, taking exams was beyond Brendan's reach.
Sure.
But not just at 16, but for every day of every year of his schooling, and probably for his life, right? So
yes,
as we go into this, I think all of these things are really important for people to be aware of, particularly if people find the idea of a false confession counterintuitive.
Yeah.
And we know that Brendan's test score showed that his interaction with others was compromised at the most basic of levels. So his inability to know how to participate in conversation, to read facial clues, tone of voice, act of cruelty to even contemplate allowing him to be questioned by, Wiggett and Fassbender. So, in this interview on February the 27th, Wiggett and Fassbender use 3 or more questions in turn numerous times. They speak in disfluent paragraphs, and in a 41-minute period spoke 3,215 words to Brendan's 1,257. So we've got let's get the idea of this being an interview off the table, because it certainly wasn't, right?
No.
Brendan spoke for a mere 28% of this interrogation. There was a question for Brendan every 9 to 10 seconds. This was never an interview. An interview, as we know, is a fact-finding exercise, right? But what these statistics clearly highlight is that the narrative, the story, the sharing of so-called fact and the shaping of the story comes from the investigators. Yeah. So now we know that the 3 errors were in play during the series of interrogations. Stop me at any time, Paul. Stop me at any time.
I mean, when I first was told about this Making a Murderer documentary, my daughter said to me, Dad, do you think that the police would deliberately frame somebody? And I said, well, no, they wouldn't do that, because it's such a stupid thing for the police to do, because if they get caught, there's going to be huge repercussions, And she said, oh, okay. And she then went on to explain the story about Steve Avery. And when she said, well, his nephew confessed, I said, well, there you go. What's there to discuss? End of discussion. He's confessed. Therefore, we can just forget about anything else. But obviously, when you watch it, I just wanted Brendan just to stop talking. Well, not to stop talking. He hardly talks anyway, but just to disagree with them and say, no, that's not what happened. But we I don't think we ever get that, do we? We on the one occasion, when, as the dude goes on about the control question, we know that she had a tattoo. Did you see it? And he goes, no. Are you disagreeing with me? And immediately, he says, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. If you say she had a tattoo, she had a tattoo. But I don't know what it was. And you could tell that Brendan is immediately, because he's been having to make up so much, he's immediately having to think, I have to try and imagine what this tattoo looked like, because I'm supposedly saw this tattoo, and they're going to ask me, what did it look like? And I've got to try and imagine what this tattoo might be. Anyway, sorry, I'm going to shut up and let's get on with the I've got it all set up here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting though, Paul. What you've said there is what a journey we've all been on over the past 5 years in terms of the accumulation of knowledge that, as lay people, that many people have gone on this journey of going into the weeds of what a false confession is, how do they happen, why do they happen, who do they happen to. So when you're looking at layers of false confessions, we know, as I was saying before, that there are 3 errors that are in play during interrogations. You've got the misclassification error, you've got the coercion error, and you've got the contamination error. Now, the first of these errors, the misclassification error, had already taken place. Now, this is just my opinion. I don't know stuff, right? So this is just what I think. But for me, I think the misclassification error had taken place when O'Neill, in his first interaction with Brendan, takes the interview, which is a behavioural analysis interview, noting verbal responses, non-verbal behaviour. But we know, anybody who's a sentient being knows it's inherently a flawed pseudoscientific analysis, right? But around the 20-minute mark at Marionette County, it goes from this interview into a confrontational interrogation. So misclassification is when the Detective O'Neill, erroneously decides that an innocent person, Brendan, is guilty.
Yeah.
So, through the misclassification error, police target an innocent suspect, and every interview and interrogation thereafter is guided by a presumption of guilt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thanks to the Reid technique, police are taught that they can become human lie detectors. That an innocent person answers a question differently to that of a guilty person.
Yeah.
And for me, it comes down to this, right? And trying to simplify that an apostrophe can distinguish guilt or innocence. So, for example, I don't know means you're guilty according to Reid, whereas I did not do this means you're innocent.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, that is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and you do realise, of course, that if you really want to know if Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey are guilty, just ask Jim Bray, because Jim Bray knew that Steve was guilty just by the look in his eyes.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here, to be honest. I mean, Jim Bray is such an expert. And he actually wrote to the sheriff's department and said, I know that unfortunately, me knowing that he's guilty by the look in his eye isn't admissible as evidence. But it was almost as if, but it bloody well should be.
It is mind blowing. It's like Reid is like, if you avert your gaze. So if you're not directly looking at them, if you slouch, if you shift your body posture, if you touch your nose, God forbid it's itchy, right? Adjust or clean your glasses to your fingernails. Reid counts you as guilty. These investigators who have who believe that they're human lie detectors, it's just ludicrous to me personally. I'd never make it through an interrogation. I adjust and clean my glasses obsessively. Mm-hmm. They are always in my hands. So, according to Reid, I would be guilty. So we can see how unfounded in actual science this is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got, for example, over there in Australia, the lady Chamberlain. Everybody thought she was guilty because she seemed so calm. Underneath, she's she's heartbroken that she's lost her kid, but because she's trying to stay reasonably calm about it, and think about things sensibly, then she's labelled as she's definitely she's too calm. It must be. In this Madeleine McCann case here in the UK, for many, many years, people have assumed that the mother and father have definitely killed her. Turns out it was a German tourist.
Yeah. And when you're touching on things like that, that again comes down to, biases that we all have. And, I wouldn't have behaved like that. So, therefore, there's something wrong here. Like Lindy Chamberlain over here was crucified and convicted on public opinion. Her religion, her every facial tick or movement she made contributed to her wrongful conviction. There was dodgy forensic science. It had the menu list of a wrongful conviction. But in leading up into the February 27th, I think it's prudent that we also mention Miranda, because in my opinion, and when we start, we'll see how perhaps there's a touch on it, but it's meaningless here, right? So we know that 85% of people waive their Miranda rights, and with Brendan, with his speech and language impairments, he wouldn't have understood them anyway. But and that's even in if they had been consistent, right? And not subjected to like a bastardization by Wiegert at every chance and opportunity he got to try and read them to Brendan. But on February the 27th, Brendan was not read his Miranda rights. Mm-hmm. And even if he had, he would have waived them, right? Because innocent people do. We know that. We're told that all the time. So he would have thought he had nothing to hide. But they offer no safeguard, and particularly over the ensuing interrogations, which makes them quite meaningless. Because we know that in the course of this interrogation, they coerce Brendan into adopting their narrative. It is here they plant the sexual assault. And it is here they begin the process of leading Brendan into making inculpatory statements against his own self-interest. This all begins now. So how is that an interview? It's not.
Yeah.
So,
looking at the business of the Miranda warnings, we read a chapter of Mark Gods's review of Richard Leo's book, and he talks about this, and it was a fantastic idea. A little bit like, when you got on a plane and you get that little video to show you what to do in the case of emergency. He said that's how Miranda warnings should be. It should be a little video given by a judge, but there should be an extra line added, which is simply, if you wish to remain silent, this will not be used against you as a presumption of guilt.
Yeah. I mean, Miranda's developed for, I think it's an 8th grader level.
Yeah.
But we know that people that are more susceptible to false confessions often have a lower IQ than even that. So the comprehension limitations like those of Brendan's makes it absolutely meaningless. And people who usually invoke their Miranda rights are those who are overly familiar with the criminal justice system. And it's innocent people who generally agree to waive them, but so just before we go into it, this is, I think, just setting the scene. So we're heading into Mishcon High School.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that Brendan was interviewed on November the 6th, December the 10th, and that Kayla Avery was interviewed twice. And it would be Kayla's statement to the school counsellor, who then contacted Wiggett and Fassbender, that would bring them to Brendan's school door. Now, they've spoken with the dean of the school. They have looked at some of Brendan's files. And as an investigator, it's their job to know who they're interviewing. So, of course, they know the child sitting across from them, and they still do this to him.
I'm going to say, don't the school have a certain obligation of care to Brendan to not allow him just to be interviewed by these two policemen?
I don't know. I don't know whether there are, regulations within the education system across the states or in Wisconsin. But obviously he was thrown to the lions, wasn't he? He was left to his own devices. His mother wasn't even informed.
No. I don't think in the UK it would have been allowed. I'm pretty sure that this would not have been allowed. I suspect in Australia as well that you would not be allowed two policemen to interview somebody without somebody from at least an adult from the school being present. But
well, in Victoria, for example, we have, I'm not sure of the exact term, but it's like there's a third party that gets involved. So if you've got a juvenile in the interrogation room, there are trained, interested adults, so to speak, who come into the room. They're not a legal representative, but they come in to help guide the juvenile. So that's something that's mandatory over here in Victoria. I can't think of the correct term for them, but even at that, we have to wonder whether, in the absence of any adult at all, starting with this school, not looking after Brendan's best interests, would this have happened anyway? Whether if Barb had been called to the school before this, because Brendan's innocent. He had nothing to hide. Why would he not speak to them? Why would Barb have not allowed him to speak to them, knowing they had nothing to hide? I mean, there's just, a couple of thoughts, but.
Okay. Let's, so Wiggett and Fassbender, better known as Bert, and Fassbender, Ernie. So here we go. I have to be careful with this button. It's so sensitive when you. There we go. Yes. That is the first bit of it, isn't it? I haven't skipped any. No, there we go.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. All yours.
just quickly before we get into this, right? I find this quite difficult. I just want people to know that it's not easy to relay what Fassbender did. But anyway, so Mark's obviously laying out a tape recorder on the table. We'd like to tape the interview. Okay, no problem with that. If that's all right, you're not under arrest. You know that. You're free to go at any time you want. Just listen to us. You don't have to answer any questions if you don't want to and stuff like that. Okay. And I would really appreciate if you would just kind of relax and open up with us. We're not here to jump in your face or to get into you or anything like that. I know that may have happened before and stuff like that. We're not here to do that. We're here more to maybe let you talk or talk to you a little about how you've been feeling lately and stuff. I have a feeling there's some things on your mind. I just want to give you that opportunity to talk about. I want you to talk to us, talk about what you're thinking about, feeling maybe. I know something's bothering you, and you know that, and it's got to be laying real heavy on you.
Yeah, and then Bert says, you've had a tough go of it lately, I'd imagine. So what when it says here, we're not here to jump in your face or get into anything like that, I know that may have happened before. We're talking about other officers that have confronted. I believe there was Barb who was in a restaurant or a coffee shop or something, and some policemen came in, and I think it was Blaine that was with them. Have I got that right? And they were shouting at them.
Yeah, I think that's probably one instance. But when I read that, I think of Privets, and I think of O'Neill, because O'Neill gets really confrontational with Brendan, refusing to believe Brendan's truth. Yeah. So that's kind of where I get that from.
Yeah, but then he says, "Oh, you've had a tough go of it lately." Brendan says, "Yeah," and Regan says, "Oh, we definitely understand that." No, he doesn't, because Brendan's had it tough, but not because of this. Because of any nightmares about Teresa. Do you know that was something that Pete Dassey said to me? He had that dream of Teresa appearing under a hood. Brendan's never ever had a dream, a nightmare about doing anything to Teresa.
Yeah.
Anyway, your go.
We're not here to hurt anyone. We just, if you got a chance to meet Teresa's mother and stuff, you got to know them a little. You'd know that they were decent people too. And just like I think your brothers are and your mum is, and people don't realize that because all the bad press and stuff. And that's all we're thinking about, just to bring justice, no matter how hard or how much it hurts. For Teresa, this feels pretty awkward, but go ahead and tell us what's been bothering you.
Let's get this to move up. No, it doesn't want to move that way, so we'll try this.
One of the things that struck me with that particular word salad is this is a supposed interview. Why are they mentioning Teresa's mother to him?
Yeah. Yep. And as I say, all that Brendan's worried about is, the bit that's upsetting for him, if there's anything that's upsetting to him at the moment, it's just the fact that Steve's gone, and, well, was it not a case that Steve was also going to secure a car for Brendan?
That I don't know.
Yeah,
but I also think what we've got here is we've got he's not long turned 16. He turned 16 in October. Yeah. And we know that he, functions between 5 and 11. But he's also got, he's got teenage issues going on. He's worried about girlfriends. Yep. He's got normal teenage things happening. So, there's a presumption that anything that's bothering Brendan has to do with this, whereas it's probably far from it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, but anyway, that's what I say, Brendan. That he's gone, and I can't see him.
That Steve is gone. You're pretty close with Steve.
Well, yeah, helped him fix cars and that.
I kind of figured that was part of it. Were you probably the closest to him as opposed to like your brothers and stuff?
well, me and Blaine were. In fact, there's one bit that is from a much later interview. I think it's in April when they talk to him about, obviously you've got Barb at the trailer, got the kids there. Although I think it's really only three of them that actually live at the trailer, then, isn't it? And Scott Paddock is coming and going. And on one occasion, they were heading out to, but I believe it's a birthday party, and Brendan was being a bit awkward. And in the end, Barb called Steve across to get Steve to help get Brendan in the car. So that was kind of interesting. If you want to get Brendan to do something and he's being a bit awkward, get Steve to talk to him. What's Steve going to do? Hit him about and stuff? No, he's just going to persuade him that. You need to go along with this. Anyway, sorry, I'm digressing.
No, I think you're onto something with that. That's really, really important that people forget, right? That this is a normal family, normal to them, right? So we're all normal in our own ways and abnormal, if you will. But this is a family that are going about their business, interacting with each other. And because of this, every minute detail of every action that they took has been scrutinized in a negative way. Steve was just probably helping his sister get his kid in the car.
Yeah.
That's it,
Absolutely. Yep. That's, as you say, just as you say, a normal family, or at least a normal Wisconsinite family that lives on a scrapyard. You're not going to get maybe at times quite the social niceties that you're going to get in in some of the posh parts of Manitowoc. But
no, but you probably get a hell of a lot more honesty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I always think that working class is where you find the heart of society. But anyway, all right. So is it me? Are we?
Yes, you're at the top there.
Okay. Yeah, Blaine would hang around Stephen a lot too. Have you been able to go up and visit him at all?
And he said, "Well, I tried, but I couldn't get in because I didn't have my identity cards."
Mm-hmm. Are you talk to him on the phone much?
Nope.
How's your mum doing?
Pretty good.
So you see that we see here that it's like step 5 of read, right? So they're starting to reinforce that sincerity and to get, Brendan to be receptive to that. So
softening them up.
Yeah. Anything else bothering you?
Not really.
No? Brendan, we know that Halloween and stuff, you were with him and helped him tend to a fire and stuff like that behind the garage and stuff. And anything you saw that night that's been bothering you. And if you built the fire, and we believe that's where Teresa was cooked. Hang on, I can't go further. Hello, contamination. Hello.
Yeah.
And if you were out there by the fire and stuff, further contamination. And by your own words, you went and got that seat out of the vehicle seat. Remember that one? You brought it over and someone put it on the fire. Did you put that seat on the fire or him?
And so as well, we both did.
What, did you both grab it and put it in the fire? What did you see in the fire? So now they're leading him to inculpate himself.
Yeah.
This is no interview, my friends.
No. Well, some branches, a cabinet, and some fires. I mean, what else are we going to see in a fire?
Oh, did you see any body parts?
What?
The contamination and fact feeding. It's February the 27th. They had no reason to come back to him after Crivets, November, December. And now they're feeding him a narrative. They're creating this story.
It's funny, isn't it, how as you say, Fassbender, it's all this fact feeding. And then in order to try and get Brendan to remember things, he's telling him all about this. You remember the fire, you remember you put the tire on there, you remember you put the cabinet, I mean, the thing is, if he's seen a body, You don't need to try and jog his memory like that. It reminds me of a very famous scene in Father Ted, where Father Ted and Father Dougal and Sister Assumpta comes along, and Father Ted says to him, Dougal, you remember Sister Assumpta, don't you? And he goes, no. You remember we met her last year, and it's all about this fell in this lion cage, and then you fell out the helicopter, and then you went blah blah, all these different places. And he shakes his head, he can't remember. And then Father Ted says, remember, you were wearing your red jumper. And for all of a sudden, Dougal, Sister Assumpta, nice to meet you again. It's just completely crazy, isn't it? Anyway, sorry, I'm going to shut up.
That's okay. I love Father Ted, by the way. But anyway, if you think you saw something in the fire and it's starting to bother you, or you're feeling bad about it, the only way it's ever going to end is if you talk about it. I got to believe you did see something in the fire. You want to know why I believe that? Because Teresa's bones were intermingled in the seat. And the only way her bones were intermingled in that seat is if she was put on that seat, or if the seat was put on top of her. Mm-hmm. Again, we've got open contamination.
Well, as you say, we have no photographs of how the remains were discovered, which is, and this whole idea of intermingled. Everything in that burn pit can be classed as intermingled. It's all there. The remains of the tire. The wires. You see a whole load of leaves as well, don't you? Unburnt leaves, and of course everything's going to be intermingled. If you're going to scatter a load of remains in the fire, in the fire pit, of course they're going to be intermingled. But the insinuation there for me is that somehow bits of wire and bits of bone have become connected.
Yeah. First of all, what strikes me here is, let's remember that Brendan doesn't comprehend sentences longer than 5 words, right?
Yeah.
So that's just something we've got to remember. There's no chance he would have, and this is not in any way being disrespectful to Brendan. I think I'm trying to highlight how he would not have been able to understand or comprehend what they were saying to him in a way that he made any sense, So there's no way he would have understood intermingled. No chance.
Yeah.
But here they're obviously saying, there's a passive accusatorial tone to this, right? So for me, this particular passage makes me think that they consider Brendan is party to this crime. Mm-hmm. So where was the Miranda, fellas? Where was the Miranda? This is why this forms no part of the case against Brendan.
Yeah.
Okay. As I said, we're not going to say you did, and we're not going to say you didn't. We're here to give you the opportunity to come forward, to talk to us about what you did see, encountered out there that night. We want to know a lot. A lot of the reason that we're doing this is because how old are you? 16, 17? You're a kid, and we got people back at the sheriff's department, district attorney's office, and they're looking at this now saying there's no way that Brendan Dassey was out there and didn't see something. They're talking about trying to link Brendan Dassey with this event. They're not saying that Brendan did it. They're saying that Brendan had something to do with it, or the cover-up of it, which would mean Brendan Dassey could potentially be facing charges for that. And Mark and I both going, well, he's a kid. He had nothing to do with this. And whether Steve got him out there to help build a fire and he inadvertently saw some things, that's what it would be. It wouldn't be that Brendan actually helped him dispose of this body. And I'm looking at you, Brendan, and I know you saw something, and that's what's killing you more than anything else. Knowing that Stephen did this, it hurts. Whether it was an accident that Stephen did it by, however it happened, he's got to deal with that. Truthfully, I don't believe Stephen intended to kill her. I don't know how it happened. Only Stephen knows how it happened, and potentially you. Do you know how it happened? What did you see in that fire? Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is all part of this softening up process, isn't it? It's trying to be really friendly, and immediately they're already talking about the outs, as they call it, aren't they?
The
we don't think you did it deliberately. It was could have been an accident.
Yeah, definitely minimization here, right? So what's minimization is it's the out for him. It's the giving of two different alternative questions that usually both will result in his guilt.
Yeah. And then Brendan replies, "Well, some garbage bag on there. That's what he saw."
Yeah, and what was in the garbage bag? Garbage bag, and they were plastic. Plastic melts pretty quick, right?
Well, I would burn the garbage.
Where did you get those bags from?
I believe, from his garage. He was saving it for the bonfire. So obviously, just rubbish that was being saved up, wasn't it? Yeah.
So this is a normal night at Brendan and Steve's place, right? Yeah. They're just throwing shit on the bonfire.
Exactly.
Fassbender.
Yeah. And this was a disappointment for Brendan, because we invited some friends over, but they cancelled.
Okay, so let's take this next section and try to think, how could Brendan possibly take anything from this? They've got questions running on top of questions. It's ridiculous. Yes. Okay, so I know how hard this is. You know that you saw him put some garbage bags on, but I can look. I can't see in your eye, but by your look, I can tell you know of something. You saw something or somebody. Something's laying heavy on you. We wouldn't be here bothering you if we didn't know that. We've gotten a lot of information, and some people don't care. Some people back there say, no, we'll just charge him. We said, no, let us talk to him, give him the opportunity to come forward with the information that he has and get it off his chest. Now you can make it look however you want. Really care. Tell us what you knew. That way you don't have to feel bad for Stephen. You have to tell the truth. You have no choice in that. Someone had killed someone. And like I said, I don't think Stephen intended to do it, but it happened. He still has to pay the price for that. I hope you understand that. He didn't do the right thing. How are you going to live with yourself the rest of your life knowing what you know? And I've got kids your age. I'm looking at you and I see you in him. I see him in you. I really do. And I know how that would hurt me too. I know how much he would hurt because of that, what he did know and how he felt for the person and what he saw and what he knows. I'm not here, like I said, I'm here to give you the opportunity to get this off your chest. Mark and I, we're cops, we're investigators and stuff like that. But I'm not right now. I'm a father that has a kid your age too. I want to be here for you. There's nothing I'd like more to come over and give you a hug, because I know you're hurting. Yeah, I want to give justice too to this and to the Holbox too. You want to tell me what you saw and what you heard? Because I know that it's intensely bothering you. Talk about it. We're not just going to let you high and dry. We're going to talk to your mum after this and we'll deal with this the best we can for your good, okay? I promise I will not let you high and dry. I'll stand behind you.
We both will, Brendan. We're here to help you. Brendan, well, I know that he...
And that's nice to know. It's not something that I mean we knew that. I'm more interested in what you probably saw in that fire or something. We know she was put in that fire. There's no doubt about it. The evidence speaks for itself. And you were out there with him. And unfortunately, I'm afraid you saw something that you wished you never would have seen. That's what we need to know. We get that off your chest and we can move forward. That's the important thing we need to get out right now for you, because you're having a tough go of it. And it's not just because you can't see Steve, but what you saw. Did you see a hand, a foot, something in that fire, her bones? Did you smell something that was not too right?
Well, we weren't there for long, picking up the stuff, I mean, again, they're saying to him, did you see a hand, a foot, her bones, I mean, the interesting thing, of course, is that we know that in fact that Teresa was burnt elsewhere, but was actually dismembered first, because they've actually got cut marks on the bones, so there wouldn't be like a normal body on the fire. An interesting point that was pointed out to me by Big Jeff. That one picture that Brendan draws of Teresa on the fire, it's just a whole body. Well, that would not have been the case, Anyway, sorry, I'll shut up.
I mean, what everyone should be getting from this is how heavily contaminated this whole interaction is.
Yeah.
You were both there, you and Stephen. Was it just you going around with the cart to get stuff?
Yeah.
Tell me this. When you got home from school and stuff, were you there when the fire started? Or did you come out after the fire was going pretty good? He can't talk. Fassbender just can't express himself. I'm sorry. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. No, so the point is that, as Brendan says, Steve had already started the fire.
And then there tyres on it before you got there?
Brendan, no, just branches, because tyres would be a lot of black smoke, wouldn't they? It's in fact it's quite dangerous, I believe, to be close to where tyres are burning, because they do produce quite toxic fumes, don't they?
Yeah.
So no, it's just just branches, and we know that Steve had gathered up a load of stuff off the field next to him, and a brush, as they call it, and that was getting lined up to be burnt. Anyway.
And then what time did you go in the house that night about?
About 10:30.
And was he still out there then?
He was out there till my brother came home and said he...
And what brother is that?
Blaine. You said you went in 10:30? Brendan says. 10:30, all right. But in fact, we know that Jodie phoned about 9 o'clock.
That's right, yeah.
And wasn't Steve already? Jodie says, that Steve was already in bed, So I think they probably getting their times a bit muddled up, But anyway, it doesn't really matter. All right.
I think it's probably the fact that it's a child under, an excruciating interrogation somewhere he should never have been, trying to deal with them, and just throwing what he can out.
Yes.
And that same night, did you help him push a vehicle somewhere too?
Yeah, I did.
And what did you do with that? Was that a Suzuki? And where did you push that?
He had it outside. I just pushed it into the garage.
His garage?
Yeah.
And what else was in the garage at that time?
Well, just his moped. No piles and piles of blood.
No RAV4, which is obviously where they go.
Yep, exactly.
He had a moped in there. Anything else?
A snowmobile, his lawnmower.
No other vehicle? Can you tell me some other things?
No.
Now, in terms of open-ended question, can you tell me some other things?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. What do you say about that? Can you tell me some other things?
You mean like a couple of jokes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I ate ravioli last night. Would that do? No other vehicle. So we know here that he's fishing. He's fishing around Rav.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't see anything in that fire?
What was in the garbage bags? Well, Brendan says paper plates and soda bottles. Were they heavy? Brendan.
Okay, how heavy are paper plates and soda bottles? Okay,
no.
So, Yeah. Did you help carry them out, or?
Well, they were really heavy paper plates and soda bottles, so I carried one out.
I mean, we laugh at the tragedy of this.
Yeah.
Out of the house or garage? What else is bothering you?
Yeah. Age-old problem, trying to find a girlfriend. You know what it's like, Tom.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Tried to get hold of. I tried to get a hold of a girlfriend.
Did you just break up?
Well, no, it's more tragic than that. She broke up with me.
Did she say why? Nothing to do with this, is it?
Okay, Brenda doesn't know.
Well, I hope you're getting over that. Just a girl, you'll find others, right? Talk to your mum about it. Or did she say the same thing? Find other girls?
Well, my mum told me that time heals. Times heal.
True, time will heal.
Brendan, we know that Steve told you to say certain things when the police came and talked to you. I know that. We've been told that. What did Steve tell you to tell us? Brendan says, well, not to say stuff. What kind of stuff? Like don't talk. You know, which is exactly what you're doing at the moment. But anyway, did he tell you what to say? Nah.
But do we think that Stephen actually did say this? Do we know that? Because for me,
No,
I'm like, here for me is where, and I mentioned this to you in a comment, this for me is lying. So, and as we know through Fraser versus Cup, that the police and law enforcement are emboldened to lie through Fraser versus Cup, which is a Supreme Court case that basically affirmed the legality of deceptive interrogation tactics.
Yeah.
And I that for me is like that. Yeah, like how did they know that?
Well, exactly. I mean, they've been listening to all his jail calls, and Brenda, Steve, as Brendan just said, we've never talked.
That's exactly right, Paul. Brendan has had no contact with him.
Yeah, that's why he's missing him. Anyway, I heard that you did. I heard, and I was told, Brendan, Steve told you what to say and what not to say because it was you and him out by that fire. I know you and him knew what was going on there. It's really important that you be honest here, okay? Everyone gets an opportunity with Tom and I, okay? We want to give you that opportunity to be honest. We want to help you through this. Obviously, it's bothering you. This whole thing is bothering you and the rest of your family, but you'll never, ever get over it unless you're honest about it, because this will bug you till the day that you die, unless you're honest about it. But we want to go back and tell people that, Brendan told us what he knew. We want to be able to tell people that Brendan was honest, that he's not like Steve. He's honest. He's a good guy. He's going to go places. Well, he's certainly going to go places with you, Per, thanks. Go places in his life. But in order for us to do that, you need to be honest with us. And so far, you're not being 100% honest. Okay, Tom and I have been doing this job for a long, long time, longer than you've been alive. And our experience and our knowledge in this job tells us that you're not being totally honest with us. And there's no way that you're going to get over this and move on in your life without being honest.
Wow.
You're going to go places, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, straight to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect £200. Just go straight to jail.
Stephen said there wasn't a fire that night. He denied that until enough witnesses came forward and said that they had seen a fire. You know that?
Well, I think initially, yeah, right. Steve doesn't recall having a fire. He says it was the week before, but he's allowed to be forgetful. It's like Lisa Busher, the bus driver, says that day that she saw Teresa Holbach. Well, no, she couldn't have seen Teresa Holbach.
Yeah.
Because Teresa Holbach is at the end of the drive. What she remembers is the 2 weeks previous when she came out to photograph her car, and yeah, it was right there at the little bit of turnaround where the bus turns around. So I don't think we hold too much weight with the fact that it's not that he's denying it. He simply said that he had the bonfire the week before. He was wrong. He has never maintained this. This has
That's what Fassbender has said here.
Yeah.
Stephen said there wasn't a fire that night. He denied that. denied that and denied it. So, they're obviously here trying to separate Brendan from Stephen,
Yeah.
and saying that Stephen is only out for himself. He's going to, will continue. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Stephen doesn't care about you right now. He cares about himself.
Unfortunately, that's all Stephen cares about. He left you out. He left you to hang out to dry. He told you what to say when you got off the bus and what you saw. You know what you saw. You're the only one that we talked to between the other brothers, Blaine, Bobby, Brian, that is inconsistent with what they said. Part of it's because of that, because you like Stephen. You're trying to help him, but you're misguided that way, and you're trying to help him out with what you know happened and did see. I think you're starting to be honest with us about some things right now.
Well, when we were up north, he was trying to hide when the cops came, and Grandpa, again, he gets immediately cut off, doesn't he? What else did he tell you? That he said he was going to get in the car and try to get away as far as he could.
Anyone else by the fire by you that night, all night? Yeah. I think there's a reason for that. Like Stephen felt he could trust you not to say anything. Fire, and asked you to using your love and taking advantage of that.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, how Brendan is starting to talk about something that happened in Crivets. They don't want this. They want to bring him back to talking about the bonfire, don't they? So, this is immediately Fassbender cuts it off and gets back onto, talking about the bonfire. To cover up for hurting that girl. That girl didn't do nothing. How would you feel if that was your sister? Brendan, no response. That burn pit, Brendan, was no bigger than this table, okay? You know how big it was? I find it quite difficult to believe that if there was a body in that, Brendan, that you wouldn't have seen something like a hand or a foot, a hair, something, okay? We know you saw something. And maybe you've tried to block it out, but it's really important that you remember. Think back.
I'm really by the garage, by the house, by the fire pit. I know you saw something. Mark and I both can go back to the district attorney and say, Dassy came forward and finally told us. Can imagine how this was weighing on him. They'll understand that.
Yeah, we'll go back for you, but you have to be honest with us.
Tell us the truth exactly.
Brendan, nothing.
Can you get close? Can you get close to telling us the truth?
It's okay to tell us.
It's okay. It's a big step, a step forward toward feeling better about yourself, to recovery, to not crying at night because of this stuff happening. What you saw. I promise you, I'll not let you hang out there alone. But we've got to have the truth. The truth is going to be terrible. Your mum.
We're not going to run back and tell your grandma and grandpa what you told us or anything like that, okay? That's interesting. So in other words, you can tell us and we won't clipe on you. Sorry, clipe is a Scottish word.
Yeah.
Do you know are you familiar with that particular word?
Absolutely not.
No, it's clipe. Clipe is the Scottish for sort of tell on somebody, You don't want to be you don't want to be a clipe.
Yeah.
So Fassbender can't think of what to say here. Let's talk about it.
Talk to us, Brendan, if you want this resolved.
Some clothes, like this is where he's trying to remember the reports, isn't he, about what Teresa was wearing. Some clothes, like a blue shirt, some pants, which in America are not like underpants. Pants is your trousers, isn't it?
Yep.
I don't know where that confusion came from, but anyway. I mean, talk about confusion. Have you ever heard Carl Barron talking about thongs? That is confusion. Anyway. Sorry. Where did he get the clothes from? Brendan says his garage. Where in the garage? Brendan again, no answer. Where in the garage were they? In the back. Back and on the side.
Was her car still in there when you went in there? Tell us the truth.
Again, like you said, they're really trying to figure out where is this car, So, yeah. Brendan, no response.
Okay. Did you see some undergarments or anything like that? Bra? Undergarments. Who uses that word?
Yeah.
Undergarments.
Yeah, well, yep. How about any shoes? And Brendan, nothing. Bert, was there blood on the clothes? Be honest, Brendan. We know. That's the question. Be honest. We already know.
Yeah.
We already know. You know. This is just clap. Be honest, Brendan. We know. We already know. You know. Help us out. Think of yourself here. Help that family out.
It's going to be all right, okay?
Was there blood on those clothes? A little bit. Okay. Where was the blood? Blood on the shirt? Brendan, still no answer.
You're starting to get it out now, okay? It'll be all right. Get it all out. It doesn't do any good to get half of it out.
The fire said he was going to bury it and start.
When the fire pit got full, he was going to bury that whole pit and start. Did he have somewhere else? Where?
Brendan, no response again.
Oh, so you had to move it from behind the garage to behind the house. Did he say why? Did you know why?
Brendan, no response. Where did he tell you that those clothes came from? He said that they were... you kind of knew better, though, don't you?
You said that they're just not allowing Brendan to tell any story here. Like they keep cutting him off. You know better. They were girl clothes, weren't they?
Were they in a bag or anything? Brendan said, okay, yeah, they were a bag.
Pants and shirt and anything else you saw had blood on the shirt?
Where on the shirt was the blood? Where on the shirt was the blood? Brendan, no idea. Was it a button-down shirt?
Remember what kind of pants were they? Blue jean pants or?
Brendan, no response. What else did he get out of the garage? Be honest, okay? He had a shovel, okay. And a rig he took.
Go ahead. What did he do with the shovel?
Have I missed that? Is that right at the end there, is it? I must have. Oh, I've skipped it.
You lost your spot.
Yeah, there was a. You said about that. Where what do you do with the shovel?
So it goes. Okay, so then Brendan down.
Yeah. Did he have somewhere else? Where, Brendan?
So the last was what did he do with the shovel?
No, I've not got that on mine. I've got this bit here. There's blood on the shirt, fire, the whole pit. Did he have somewhere else? Where, Brendan? And then it goes straight to this bit here. Oh well.
Have you got? Okay, let's see. So you move around. Did you say why? So the next for page 12, it starts with Brendan with nothing, and then Fassbender. Let's go to the parts.
Okay, well, I think we got as far as I say the end of that bit there. So yeah, because he said he was going to bury it and start. So okay, if we just start from the top here, I don't have any mention of what they were going to do with the shovel. So anyway, not sorry.
That's odd.
Yeah, got a bit missing there, but anyway.
I think we've been over this a little while back.
Yeah.
They were girl clothes, weren't they? Yeah, we've been. we've done the blood on the shirt. Yeah, you've gone back a little too far.
But yes, there we go. What else did he get out of the garage beyond? He had a shovel, okay, and a rake. Go ahead. What did he do with the shovel? Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Now we're talking.
Okay. I think it's your turn then.
Let's go to the parts that Clothes talk about whenever he talked. What is that sentence? Let's go to the parts that Clothes talk about whenever he talked. Got a feeling that you saw something in the fire that you're trying to just...
It's not your fault. Remember that.
Yeah, it's not your fault. Like I said, Mark and I are not going to leave you high and dry. There's a promise of leniency for you.
Oh, yes.
I've got a very, very important appointment at 3 o'clock today. Well, I ain't leaving for that appointment until I'm sure you're taken care of. Telling the truth, get this off your chest and get it out in the open. So go ahead and talk to us about what you saw in the fire. It's killing you right now, what you see. Go ahead. You've got to do this for yourself. I know you feel that it's going to hurt Stephen, but it's actually going to help Stephen come to grips with what he needs to do. More important, this could help you. How long you think are you going to put up with this? You know, we found some flesh in that fire too. Hello, contamination. Yeah. We know you saw some flesh. We found it all after that burned. I know you saw it. Tell us. You don't have to worry about. You won't have to prove that in court. Minimization. Hello. Tell us what you saw. You saw some body parts. You're shaking your head. Tell us what you saw.
Brendan, nothing. No response.
You all right? You all right? What other parts did you see?
Toes.
Part of the foot too? What other parts of the body? Did you see part of the arm, the legs? I know, it's all right. Did you see part of her head, skull?
I seen...
Okay, a human body. Did you say anything to Stephen? Was he hoping you didn't see that or what?
Okay, no response.
Where? The body parts that you saw, were they on top of the tires or underneath the tires? Or...
Okay, no response.
So that's our 12 pages.
Well, that's right, but it's just, if we just go to this next little bit of Fassbender.
Yeah. Pardon?
Bottom of tyres.
Underneath the bottom of the tires?
Brendan, no response.
Could you smell them?
Brendan, nope.
All right. We got a lot of important stuff out there now. Take a breath. Let's go over the parts that you mentioned, okay? So you mentioned toes, fingers, parts of hand and feet, and then what you thought maybe was stomach area or midsection or torso. Did he? I missed that. Did you see any parts of the legs or arms? You sure didn't see her. Now, this is very hard. It's not easy, but it's easier to say you saw a toe or a finger. But when you start saying to me, or I saw a head or a face or hair, or stuff like that, that's when it hurts though. But I find it very hard that you didn't see a skull or the head. Did you see part of the head or face or skull? They're obviously pushing for her head.
Well, I mean, the thing is that Brendan has never mentioned. He mentioned toes. It's Fassbender, isn't it? It's almost like we've skipped a bit. There's a bit missing. Because Brendan never said any of this. It's Fassbender telling him what he's seen, and then using it as, it's a little bit like, when Andy Colburn is asked, and you said 99 Toyota, and he says, no, I thought she said that. Yeah. It's like, he's taken the bit that he's just said and applying it to Brendan. And the problem is Brendan has no comprehension about how to sort of say to him, no, that's not what I said.
That's right, because Brendan has a huge deference to authority. And why wouldn't he? He's never been involved with law enforcement before. And you've got Fassbender here who's who's taking all of the bits of what he's suggested to Brendan and is reiterating it in a way that he wants Brendan to adopt it going forward.
Yeah, it's quite incredible to read that. As I say, that you know, as a youngster, you know, I wouldn't say that I was squeaky clean. I used to get into quite a lot of trouble when I moved up to Scotland. I think quite a few of the family, immediate and, you know, sort of close family and uncles and stuff, they were quite pleased that I'd gone, and was no influence on any of my sort of cousins' bad behaviour anymore. But no, it's just ridiculous what you know.
Yeah, they led Brendan to inculpate himself throughout that whole interaction. You know, the fact that, you know, Brendan says something as probably to him as really simple, like toes, like, and then they come back with something as powerful as her torso, you know, her midsection. You know, Brendan obviously, he doesn't know what he is discussing with them. And from what we've learnt in terms of his, you know, impairments in speech and language, that the disfluency, and when you read that, you get a real sense of how disfluent and you know, the word salad that they're spewing at him. Yeah. But, you know, it's when they come into those reiterations like we finished on just there. That's where the danger is for Brendan. He doesn't know. He has no idea of that.
Yeah, I mean, the only time he's ever coherent about anything is when he's talking about like, things he knows.
As soon as they... Yes, yeah. And this is where, you know, as soon as they have Brendan say he saw toes, as, you know, that's it for Brendan, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it for Brendan. Because we know even from November the 6th and O'Neill, who was really aggressive with Brendan, they didn't go back to him. They didn't really go back to him. There was a short interrogation on the 10th of December. I've never seen it. But they don't go back again. They don't go back again. It's only when the school counsellor relays what Kayla has said that we get, Bert and Ernie traipse along to Mishcot High School. You know. Yeah.
No, as I said, for me, when I was younger, I remember, as I say, got into trouble, but I would always, you know, try and, you know, argue my case, as it were, you know. But Brendan just does not have any sense of wanting to argue at all, does he? You know, because
it's not who he is.
No, even in that control question, you know, when Ernie says to him, you know, do you disagree with me?
Yeah.
Brendan is immediately on the back foot because, you know, Brendan is not somebody that's going to disagree with what he considers to be authority.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. And it's a choice of the word that he used in something when he said disagree. That's obviously something that Brendan understood.
Yeah.
You know, and how he should react to that. Yeah. But it's, I think it's, you know, I think it's the school. Is it the school? Some of the school reports had, I'm just trying to find it. Do I have a note on it? Definitely the school report. Something to do with the school report. I'll have to come back to it another time.
Sure.
But, you know, the school reports from his IEPs, they all documented well, you know, Brendan's inabilities to understand idioms and...
Oh, yeah.
I'm under no illusion. I mean, these guys are investigators, right? So they know what they're doing. You can't tell me that they went into that without understanding part of Brendan's limitations, because they're well documented in school reports.
Yeah, and I, as I say, I go back to the fact that, you know, speaking to Eunice about it, you know, I was on about this, you know, the care, that the responsibility that the teachers, the school has to take care of their pupils, particularly in something as serious as that. But you can't help thinking that, you know, that all flew out the window because everybody dislikes Steve and Avery so much because they've been given all these stupid facts, this stupid evidence, and they actually believe everything that's being accused of Steve. And so I think they almost feel as if they're doing the public a good service by offering Brendan up to Bert and Ernie on a plate, as it were.
And they're all complicit. They're all complicit in such a dereliction of duty to a child.
Yeah.
The teachers, the dean was fully aware. The dean had spoken to Uyghur and Fassbender and allowed it to go ahead. And like I said, we make a lot of the fact that in the March 1st interrogation, particularly, there's no adult or parent with him.
Yeah,
there was never any interested adult there to protect. There was no safeguard for Brendan from law enforcement from the 6th of November.
Yeah.
I mean, Brendan talks in that small passage. Brendan talks about the fact that he was with Blaine, but that means nothing to them. It doesn't fit their narrative that they've gone into this with. So it's like when I've talked many times about March the 1st, when they're talking about, the head situation, and Brendan comes out and says, "Oh, I slit her throat." They don't miss the beat, right? So their tone doesn't change. Like most people would go, "What? Like you slit her throat?" But no. It doesn't matter to them. They just keep on going as calm as before they heard that, because it's obviously not the narrative that they need.
That's right. Yeah. Do you know what? That's been an hour and 10 minutes that have just flown by. Absolutely flown by. And I would like to thank you very much for joining me this evening, this morning. I need to crack on because got some teaching this morning, and then, as I say, this evening, my time, which will be afternoon Wisconsin time, I think 2:00, and have a chat with Mr. Darcy. But Tracy, thank you very much for coming and talking about this particular part of, because, as I say, for me, it was the bit that the bit that was missing. I couldn't understand how they managed to get from Brendan Darcy, who's done absolutely nothing, to then getting to the stage where he supposedly gives this confession. And as we discovered in that, it's not Brendan's confession. It's just Uyghur and Fassbender's story that they've come up with, and Brendan just unfortunately happily goes along on almost the assumption that things will get sorted out, that he talks about guessing at stuff. He assumes that they're going to go away, they're going to check the facts, they're going to come back later on and say, actually, Brendan, this didn't happen, you're okay.
I mean, it's clear it was a preordained story by the investigators. When you look at the statistics, as I stated before we went into it, that Brendan spoke for 28% of that interrogation. That alone speaks to the fact that it was Brendan telling a story. It was not Brendan sharing facts or what he saw. It was Uyghur and Fassbender shaping it, shaping for what they needed as they went on, and finally took from him on March the 1st. So it's disgusting. It's simply disgusting. And when you vocalize it, it's even worse. It
is. Well, thank you for
my pleasure.
And we will see you all soon. Thanks very much to everybody that's popped in and having Heavy D. He confessed. Twice. Right. Of course he did. I
love when people come up with that and they say, like, he confessed, and as if us mere mortals know more than the copious amounts of legal scholars, false confession experts, the amicus brief people who are party to the amicus briefs. That this individual obviously knows more than all of them put together. So, yeah.
Oh. Okay, Heavy D. And of course, Ken, nice to have you here, Ken, but please just go away and play with your texting. Okay, thanks very much, everybody.
Yeah, cool.
See you all soon. Bye for now.
Have a good one. Bye.
And you. Bye for now. Bye-bye.